眼福眼福。
My Senpai is Annoying is a delightful slice-of-life anime that follows the daily life of a hard-working and talented young woman named Futaba Igarashi, who works at an advertising agency. However, there's one person at her workplace who constantly tests her patience, her overbearing and annoying senpai, Harumi Takeda. Despite Harumi's irritating and intrusive behavior, Futaba tries her best to navigate their work and personal relationship with grace and professionalism. Futaba Igarashi is an aspiring salesperson working for Itomaki Trading. Despite her diminutive stature, she works hard to achieve her goal. However, her senpai, Harumi Takeda, is a large man and often teases her by tussling her hair. Together, they visit various companies to give sales pitches. Takeda encourages Igarashi to give the pitch, which results in her making her very first sale. Unfortunately, the next day, Igarashi learns that she has made a mistake and owes the client an apology. She feels even worse when Takeda steps in to give the apology on her behalf. Later that day, Igarashi forgets her train pass and returns to the office to retrieve it. There, she finds Takeda asleep, having worked late to fix her mistake. The following day, Igarashi returns to work feeling normal, much to the relief of her coworkers. She develops a better pitch and makes an even bigger sale to the client. She apologizes to Takeda for causing trouble, and they go out drinking to celebrate. However, Igarashi becomes drunk and starts wondering why Takeda is so nice to her. She demands to know if he likes her, to which he confirms that he does, like a daughter. Igarashi drunkenly bemoans not being thought of as Takeda's wife, but she quickly realizes what she has said and becomes embarrassed. Despite this awkward encounter, Igarashi continues to work hard towards her goal of becoming a successful salesperson. The next day, Igarashi apologizes to Takeda for her previous statement, and Takeda confesses that he found it amusing since she was drunk. While relieved, Igarashi feels a tinge of disappointment. At lunch, Kazuma's colleagues express interest in Sakurai, but Kazuma has never made a move on her. Igarashi feels irritated when her colleagues comment that she resembles Takeda's daughter. She then seeks advice from Sakurai on how to enhance her bust, but panics when Sakurai assumes it's for Takeda's benefit. During a shopping trip with Natsumi Kurobe, Igarashi tries on clothes and pants or bra to visualize having larger breasts. However, she forgets to remove the pads when Takeda and Kazuma board the train, much to her chagrin. Despite this, Takeda remains unaware of the situation, upsetting Igarashi as she feels he doesn't see her as a woman. Meanwhile, Sakura receives an invitation from a colleague, prompting Kazuma to help her by pretending to receive a phone call, which Sakurai finds endearing. Later, Takeda catches a man taking pictures of Igarashi's underwear, and Sakurai asks Kazuma out for dinner. Finally, although Igarashi now respects Takeda more, she still punches him when he calls her little. Despite it being freezing, Igarashi selflessly gives her scarf to a young girl. Takeda, noticing her discomfort, offers his own scarf to Igarashi and, to her great embarrassment, shares the incident with the entire office. Later on, Igarashi and Sakurai are selected to be office Santas. Igarashi contemplates buying Takeda a gift, and Kurobe suggests a necktie. While dressed as Santa, Sakurai charms the officemen, and Takeda teases Igarashi playfully. Igarashi hesitates in giving Takeda the necktie and misses her chance when Kazuma arrives early. Eventually, they all go out for a Christmas meal after work. Sakurai has a good time teasing Kazuma about her costume, and Kazuma manages to ask her out for dinner. Igarashi finally gives Takeda the tie, and Takeda surprises her with a replacement scarf. However, he chooses not to wear the tie the next day, preferring to display it on his desk, until an upset Igarashi forces him to wear it properly. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is your favorite ending in anime? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. When Igarashi catches a cold, it worries everyone around her. In order to restock her empty fridge, she heads out to the grocery store, only to find Takeda waiting outside her apartment with a bag of groceries. Not only does he cook her dinner, but he also leaves once she falls asleep. Although Igarashi recovers, she is left feeling mortified when she realizes she invited Takeda into her apartment. This prompts Takeda to purchase a smartphone, as he was the last to know about Igarashi's illness. On their day off, Igarashi offers to help him shop for a new phone and promises to look after him if he ever gets sick. However, their outing is witnessed by Kurobe, who later calls Igarashi to tease her. Despite her impatience for Takeda to send her a text, it takes some help from Kazuma for Takeda to finally send a message, bringing a smile to Igarashi's face. Unfortunately, Takeda also catches a cold, but Igarashi steps up to repay the favor by visiting his apartment. After a meal and some sleep, Igarashi can't help but wonder what Takeda's chin stubble feels like. However, when he wakes up, she becomes so embarrassed that she karate chops him and runs away. The following day, Takeda thanks her and accidentally lets her colleagues know about her visit. Igarashi offers to cook for him again as he had enjoyed her food so much. Valentine's Day is fast approaching, and Igarashi and Kurobe lend a helping hand to a young man who seems to have lost his way. Igarashi is elated when the young man recognizes her as an adult. Meanwhile, Sakurai is busy planning her usual chocolates for everyone, and the men are hopeful of receiving special heartfelt chocolates this year. Igarashi spends most of the day without Takeda and feels melancholic. Fortunately, Takeda invites her for ramen after work, lifting her spirits. While waiting for Igarashi to arrive, Takeda comes to the rescue of the young man, saving him from some thieves. When Igarashi and Sakurai finally arrive, they discover that the young man is Sakurai's younger brother, Yuto. Later, Takeda and Igarashi head out for ramen, leaving Kazuma to see Sakurai with Yuto and assume they're on a date, which sends him into a depressive spiral. Igarashi shows her thoughtfulness by making chocolate for everyone, including a special green tea chocolate for Takeda, who doesn't like sweets. She worries that he might misinterpret it as a heartfelt chocolate. Meanwhile, Sakurai gives heartfelt chocolate to Kazuma, but he misconstrues it as a gesture of mere politeness. Thankfully, Sakurai clarifies the misunderstanding about Yuto, and Kazuma apologizes. Igarashi later claims to have seen Kazuma with a ridiculously big grin on his face, which everyone finds hard to believe. Sakurai's accidental sending of a misleading photograph of Igarashi and Takeda to Igarashi's grandfather leads to a series of events. While Igarashi is shopping for her own birthday present, she discovers that Takeda's birthday is the same day as hers. As a result, they buy flowers for each other. However, when Igarashi's grandfather arrives, he clashes with Takeda over who has the right to tussle Igarashi's hair despite their similar personalities. Despite their initial efforts to avoid each other, Grandpa and Takeda discover they have many common hobbies. They repeatedly bump into each other and compete childishly at fishing, baseball, and even litter picking. As a result, they develop a grudging respect for each other. Grandpa reminisces about raising Igarashi until she decided to live by herself for high school. When White Day arrives, Kazuma gives Sakurai macarons, while Takeda gives Igarashi medicine for her yearly hay fever outbreak and an invitation to dinner. Takeda even informs Grandpa in the bathroom that Igarashi is doing well because she is just as stubborn as he is. Later, some delinquents harass Igarashi, but Takeda and Grandpa work together to punish them swiftly. Despite her initial annoyance at both of them, Igarashi forgives them and they all go to dinner together. As a child, Kurobe participated in Sports Day. However, she encountered a setback when she was tripped during the race. Despite this, she continued to persevere in other activities. Later on, in junior school, Igarashi met Kurobe after getting lost, and they quickly struck up a friendship. Kurobe was mischievous and convinced Igarashi to accompany her to an amusement arcade. As fate would have it, the office arranged for everyone to attend a cherry blossom viewing party together. It was a great opportunity for them to bond as a group. While out for a jog, Kurobe ran into Yuto and learned about his desire to join the basketball club. However, he was too scared to take the leap. Kurobe provided some valuable advice and urged him to try anyways so that he wouldn't regret it later. Interestingly, Kurobe harbored a deep resentment towards sports competitions due to a past incident. Her competitor in sports day had deliberately tripped her, causing her to develop a distaste for such events. Consequently, Igarashi suggested that Kurobe should run for the sheer joy of it. At the cherry blossom party, Igarashi was captivated by the pink blossoms, but she was slightly embarrassed to learn that Takeda preferred green, the color of her hair. As they chatted, the conversation turned to Kurobe's influence in Igarashi's life. Kurobe had encouraged her to join the art club and even helped her stand up to bullies who had teased her. These experiences strengthened their friendship, and Kurobe ultimately ended up joining the track and field club. Igarashi attributes her newfound courage to Kurobe's unwavering support, while Takeda expressed a desire to see her artwork. As the party began to wind down and people started getting a bit too tipsy, it was time to call it a night. Later on, Kurobe discovered that Yuto had finally taken the plunge and joined the basketball club, which brought a smile to her face. During Golden Week, Igarashi has planned to clean her apartment. Meanwhile, Kazuma overhears Sakurai rejecting another coworker and impulsively asks her on a date to an aquarium. However, Kazuma is unsure of how to act, so he treats the situation like it's a game. In the meantime, Igarashi terrifies herself while watching scary movies and calls Takeda, but hangs up from embarrassment. Despite that, Takeda decides to visit her apartment. At the aquarium, Sakurai claims that she and Kazuma are a couple. With nothing else to do, Takeda and Igarashi decide to spend the rest of Golden Week together. While watching a dolphin show, Kazuma almost admits his selfish reasons for always helping others, but is prevented when they were soaked by a dolphin splash. To satisfy Sakurai, Kazuma buys her a dolphin toy that shares his name, Sota. Takeda also wins Igarashi a toy from a claw machine. During a ramen dinner, Igarashi and Takeda discuss their pasts and their dreams for the future. On the other hand, Kazuma compliments Sakurai for always helping others. Later, while Sakurai is being harassed by two men, Kazuma claims that they are a couple, making her blush, even though he admits borrowing the words from a manga. Eventually, everyone returns to work feeling happier than before. Igarashi is initially excited when she receives an invitation to an overnight beach trip with Sakurai, Yuto, and Kurobe. However, her excitement turns to annoyance when Kazuma and Takeda are also invited. Igarashi feels inferior to Sakurai and Kurobe since they have well-endowed chests. Despite this, Takeda reassures Igarashi that he values her personality. During dinner, Igarashi stops Takeda from revealing that she has cooked for him several times. Meanwhile, Yuto confides in Kurobe that he has a friend who is a girl, and other kids at school tease him for it. Kurobe assures Yuto that it is normal and suggests that the girl might one day become his girlfriend. Later that night, the girls tease Igarashi for her implied closeness to Takeda. Meanwhile, Kurobe interrogates Sakurai about Kazuma, and Kazuma struggles to sleep due to Takeda snoring. The next morning, Takeda and Sakurai interrogate each other about Igarashi and Kazuma, respectively, embarrassing both who overhear the conversation. Kazuma manages to capture more embarrassing photos of Takeda and Igarashi falling asleep together. Despite the awkward moments, Kurobe is glad that Igarashi works with such nice people. Igarashi bravely asks Takeda to spend the next summer together. The following day at work, both Igarashi and Takeda have dark tans as they both forgot to apply sunscreen during their beach trip. Sakurai is concerned that she has gained weight, and so she begins jogging. However, she soon finds herself in pain and must hide it from Kazuma. Meanwhile, Takeda decides to take part in a pork bun eating contest against his colleague, Mona Tsukishiro. Unfortunately, Tsukishiro backs out of the contest after discovering that the buns are served hot. In another part of town, Kazuma gives Yuto some basketball training. However, due to Yuto's inaccuracy, Kazuma gets hit in the face. Nevertheless, Sakurai expresses gratitude towards Kazuma for his efforts. Igarashi becomes jealous after learning that Takeda spent time with Tsukishiro, so Takeda decides to take Igarashi out for pork buns as well. Takeda, Igarashi, and Kurabe all join in on the next basketball session, which ends up irritating Sakurai. Following a chaotic game that results in various injuries, everyone decides to call it quits. However, Kazuma and Kurabe stubbornly continue playing against each other for almost 2 hours, much to Sakurai's annoyance since they were supposed to be helping Yuto. Later on, everyone decides to visit a public bath, except for Sakurai, who insists on some alone time with Kazuma. In the baths, Igarashi becomes upset when she realizes that she hasn't grown at all since middle school. Meanwhile, Yuta discovers the secret to Takeda's size: lots of food, sleep, and milk. Finally, Sakurai and Kazuma decide to grab some hot dogs while everyone else opts for milk after their hot baths in order to grow bigger. At the end of the year office party, everyone gathers to discuss their plans for New Year's. Later that night, Yuto has made plans with his friends, which means that Sakurai and Kazuma will be left alone for the entire evening. In another part of town, while Igarashi spends the night with Kurabe, she can't help but miss Takeda. The next morning, the group visits the shrine to celebrate New Year's Day. As they arrive, Igarashi spots Takeda and Kurabe quickly makes an excuse to leave her alone with them. They both have their fortunes drawn, and surprisingly, they both receive the message that the person they have been waiting for is right beside them. Despite this, they both keep this to themselves. Later on, at Takeda's favorite restaurant, Igarashi watches as Kazuma and Sakurai are interviewed on TV. During the interview, they talk about Igarashi and Takeda's uncertain relationship, causing Igarashi to become furious and rush back to the shrine to confront Kazuma. Meanwhile, Takeda remains completely oblivious to everything. After Kazuma recovers from the confrontation, he tells Sakurai that he actually preferred spending the day with her than his original plan of being alone. As they walk away, a nearby child tries to show Kazuma a photo she took, but Sakurai quickly prevents him from seeing it as the photo shows her kissing him while he was unconscious. After Takeda lands a new client, Igarashi worries that he still perceives her as a rookie. Despite her apprehension, she volunteers to do one of his presentations by herself. Thankfully, the presentation is a smashing success, and Igarashi celebrates with a bowl of ramen. However, her enjoyment is fleeting without Takeda by her side. Her mood takes a turn for the worse when Takeda is invited to drinks by the office ladies. Feeling down, she goes drinking alone and begins to reminisce about her first day of work when Takeda mistook her for a schoolgirl. While drowning her sorrows, a drunk patron mistakes Igarashi for a child and scolds her for drinking alcohol. Fortunately, Takeda appears and sends the intoxicated individual away. He then joins Igarashi and reveals that he would rather drink with her than with the other ladies. Igarashi almost asks Takeda if he has feelings for her, but she stops herself just in time. Takeda expresses how much Igarashi has grown in just 1 year, making her feel proud of herself. Igarashi warns him that she will one day become a full-grown salesperson and will no longer need his guidance. In response, Takeda promises to be by her side every day until that day arrives. As they walk in the rain, Igarashi and Takeda must share an umbrella, which flusters her when Takeda pulls her in close. Despite the awkwardness, she admits that Takeda is still her annoying senpai. What a wholesome ending for the first season. Go check out other recaps, and don't forget to like and subscribe.